Hello and welcome. In a previous video, we wrote a Hello World app in assembly language for NitrOS-9. And in that video, we talked about the distinction between code and data, and why that distinction might be useful in the way that NitrOS-9 manages memory. And in this video, we talked about the CoCo 3's memory management unit, and how it can be used to take a full 2 megs of physical RAM and distribute it across a simple 64K logical address space. Today we're going to merge those two videos together to form a crystal clear picture of how NitrOS-9 can use the MMU to... that's not clear. That's not clear. No. What we're going to do is talk about how NitrOS-9 makes use of the MMU so that it can, as efficiently as possible, allocate the physical RAM to the various 64K logical address spaces of the processes that are running under it. And it can do so in such a way where it can share memory when it can completely ignore certain blocks of memory if they're not needed by processes, and it's really cool. So today we're going to use pmap to show how each process's logical memory map is laid out. And we're going to use a LUA script running under MAME to display a real-time overlay that shows how the different processes get their chunks of memory and where those chunks of memory come from. And at the end, we're going to view something never seen before, never possible to be seen before, about how NitrOS-9 manages memory in real time. You won't want to miss it, so stick around. I've just booted NitrOS-9, and so if I flip through the processes, you'll see I have this kind of low-res shell, and then I have this higher-res shell, and another higher-res shell, and that's it. So we're going to run the pmap command, and that's going to tell us which processes are running and show us the memory maps for each of those processes. So you can see the 3 shells, 1, 2, 3. System is always here. And pmap, which I just ran, while it was running, it existed. And so it shows up in the output, although now it is not running. The way you read this is you take a look up here, and these are the logical memory addresses. This means all addresses beginning with either 0 or 1, 4-digit addresses. So this is the first 8K block. All addresses between 2000 and 3 FFF would be here, and so on. And the numbers below give you the block of physical RAM that's assigned to that. So you can see the system process has the most blocks assigned at the moment. And the other processes have something really low and something really high. Kevin Darling's inside OS-9 level 2 tells us the way OS-9 prefers to allocate memory. The module itself is actually loaded to the highest address possible, and the data area is always assigned at 0. And then whatever is in the middle is whatever extra memory that you need, either memory that was requested by the process, or if the module is bigger than an 8K block, it would be loaded to slightly lower addresses, still keeping it as high as possible so it will just cover the largest addresses possible. In this case, these processes are pretty small. The module doesn't need more than one 8K block, so they just end up loading at E1000. And of course, everyone's got a data area. A couple things to point out. Number 1, 3 instances of the shell process each share the exact same module memory. As I talked about in the Hello World video, NitrOS-9 is as efficient with memory as possible. And the code area is not meant to be changed. It's meant to remain the same. So you can have multiple processes, and since it's really just read-only memory here, why not have them share the exact same physical memory? And the other thing to point out are all these nifty dots. These dots are basically saying the process doesn't need that memory, so I'm not going to assign it to the process. This allows NitrOS-9 to support as many processes running simultaneously as possible because they don't all actually need 64K of physical RAM. The blocks they need, you assign them, and the blocks they don't need, you just leave it alone. Now, in theory, a process could, if it were written in assembly language, just do whatever it wanted with the memory, It could peek into this logical block here and here and here and do stuff, but that would be illegal. It could then be overwriting memory that was assigned to other processes or will eventually be assigned to other processes, or maybe memory assigned to the system process. So don't do that. So let's take a peek at the module for the shell process. So that's at OC. I'm going to open up a memory window, and the memory window I'm going to set it to view the physical RAM. And to find that, I simply multiply by 2000. So if you're telling me that that is assigned block OC, I'll multiply that by 2000. And now we can see the actual module representing the shell process that's shared between all the instances of that process. And you can even see here, this is probably the name of the module, shell, and that weird character is telling us that they're setting the high bit of the final character as an indicator that it is indeed the final character. And we can see some other strings and of course the actual code, because that's what the module is all about. We can even peek at pmap. Pmap is no longer loaded, but I bet it's still there. I bet that stale memory is still there. And sure enough, we can start seeing some static strings. Not only do we see pmap, the module name, but we can see that header 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, AB. These are strings that don't need to change, so they would be considered code and they would be part of the module, and presumably some more code. Also, as I mentioned in the Hello World video, each process does get its own dedicated data area. So these are all different. We've got 3 instances of shell. They each have a very different data area. That way they can run independently, they don't collide with each other. Even though they're sharing the read-only portion of the memory they need, the stuff that's part of the code, they're not sharing the stuff that they write to. As a fun exercise and to demonstrate the power of MAME LUA scripting, I created a script that will basically show you this information but live as an overlay. Kerplow! So what we're seeing here is the same data, but it's done all the math for us. It's done all the multiplication by 2000 for us. So for example, you can see all these blocks are assigned to system. For the 3 shell processes, the module is loaded here at the highest possible address, and it's the exact same physical block for each of them. And of course, their data is assigned very different physical blocks. I've highlighted in green the start address for the module, and this red box tells us which process currently is active. Actually, I probably shouldn't use the word active. Active and inactive, I think, have more special meanings, specific meanings in NitrOS-9. What I should say is it's the process that's currently operating on the CPU, currently given a slice of execution time on the CPU. So I'm going to flip over to my low-res shell, and I'm going to run my Hello World app, which I've added a loop so it can continue to print Hello World over and over again, and that will keep it active. And now I can see that it has a module load address of 10,000 and its own data section at 1A1000. And I'm going to make me another Hello World. So now I've got a couple Hello Worlds. They both are sharing the exact same module load address, different data addresses. And the red highlight is going crazy because they're both CPU hogs, and so the CPU is switching between them back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So now let's go and kill one. Gonna run proc. You'll see proc shows up while it's running, and then proc should disappear shortly. And I see my 2 Hello World apps are there. They're processes 3 and 4. In fact, I didn't need to run this because the overlay is already telling me that they're 3 and 4. So I'm going to kill 3. And 3 is gone. So now we're back to 4, and 4 gets the whole CPU, and so it gets to just peg it. And so if I flip back and forth, that Hello World is done with. That Hello World is chugging along. I made another version of the Hello World app that just really, the main change is I added a ZMB after all the instructions but before the end of the module. There are a few changes up here, but they're not all that interesting. I just changed the module name from HW to HWB for Hello World Big, and I'm saying Hello Big World so we can differentiate. And then rather than initializing the stack area with 4242, I initialize it with something twice as big. Now, as I discussed in the Hello World video, ZMB is kind of special in that it emits bytes, just like all of these opcodes emit bytes. whereas something like RMB emits nothing. LWSM sees that, and all it does is it adjusts the address, in this case, the data address. Because of that difference, RMB always advances the data address, and ZMB always advances the code address. The point of this is to make the code big, which makes the module big. Too big to fit in a single 8K block, because this adds another full 8K to the size. So when I run this, we're going to expect this to take up 2 blocks of physical RAM when the module loads. So let's run HWB and see what happens. We got our hello big world, and if you take a look, you'll see that the module load address for HWB is earlier because it takes 2 blocks to be complete, and nothing now is shared between HW and HWB because they're different modules. For fun, let's run G-shell. Now we can see that some other processes are competing for the CPU's attention. And then finally, now that G-shell has rendered itself, the CPU can go back to switching between HW and HWB. But what if I try to do things like get to that accessories menu? Oh, I seem to have, oh, here we go. Here's the, let's run something here. Maybe the calculator. Click. There's our gcalc. You can see gcalc needs some attention while it draws everything. Presumably when that's done, it'll give up the CPU. Yep, because now it's just sitting and waiting. So if I hit 5, it flashes in just a bit. Looks like NitrOS-9 is doing its best to give CPU attention only when it's needed. Okay, I've rebooted, I got rid of my HWs, but just for fun I thought it would be interesting to run some emulated Radio Shack DOSes in here with the overlay up to see what we see. Here's my RSB. Well, that's very interesting. When I do an RSB command, that shows up as a separate process as opposed to something that's just done wholly within the emulator. Let's try running Radio Shack RAR test. All right, so that's going. Let's make another one. And once again, you'll notice that the 2 RSBs, the green shows where the module loads at 34,000. And the blocks after that are also the same, they're shared. But of course, the data areas are completely different. And who's the hog now? Looks like the 2 Radio Shack basics and system, since they're both actively doing stuff. Shall we run flex? All right, I guess flex is OF-link. Also a bit of a memory hog, using all the possible pages. Interestingly, flex does not need much memory for the module, so the module only needs one of those 8K blocks. But it definitely likes data for everything else. Let's take a look at its module. Starts at 4E1000. And immediately we can see a whole bunch of strings. So it looks like all of these error messages and things, anything that it needs to tell the user, all up there at the top. And then all the code. Only an 8K module needed for all the strings and all the instructions to run the flex emulated flex thingy. As a final demonstration, I'd like to do something that previously you could never do before. Like all the stuff I was doing before, in theory you could just run pmap a lot, and you could see how processes, what they look like at each different snapshot. But what about when you load NitrOS-9 itself? You can't run pmap before it's loaded, but you can certainly run the LUA script inside MAME. So we can actually watch the processes come and go as the loading process continues. So we start off just with system. And we have another couple systems and a sysgo. Very odd stuff there. Few systems. I don't know, some of this could be just an artifact of how the script works when it tries to figure out what the processes are. Now something called set time is running because that's the thing where I give it the time. I've learned you can just hit enter and it will be fine if you don't care. And now this thing called merge, I've always kind of wondered, there's this much longer period of time after that set time is done where you're just sitting there waiting. So apparently it's this magical process called merge that's doing goodness knows what. Loaded at 14,000. And finally we're ready. I wonder if we could actually look at the module for merge at 14,000 and see anything useful. You do not own that file. Use Mactor to create a directory. Error, the directory is not empty. Is that a hint? Ready source, hit C to continue. Destination, blah, blah. I don't know what this is doing. Maybe this is for people who customize their NitrOS-9? I don't know.